I'm the Fulbright Program. I'm the Fulbright Program Coordinator with MACEE, Malaysian American Commission on Educational Exchange. Today's info session that you are joining is going to give you more information with regards to the Fulbright Malaysian Scholar Program. Now, before we start the session, couple of just housekeeping rules. We would strongly advise you to keep your microphones muted. We do have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So if you would like to ask any questions or put in any comments, just feel free to use the chat feature. If you have a question, you can use the raise hand function feature before we allow you to unmute and ask your questions. Feel free to keep your camera on throughout the session if you feel comfortable. All right. Okay, so what today's session is about is we're going to be introducing you to obviously the Fulbright Malaysian Scholar Program, but we are going to touch on as well on the Fulbright MACEE Fulbright Malaysia, as well as generally on the Fulbright program. Now, I'm very proud to say that together with me on this call is not just our senior program manager, which is Ms. Teo Zim. We have two very esteemed alumni. Let me introduce them. One is Prof. Dr. Siti Norshina, and in fact, she is an alumni who just returned recently from the US. She's with the 24-25 cohort, and we have another associate professor, Dr. Muhammad Shahrul, who is from UKM, and he's a Fulbright scholar, alumni from the 23-24 cohort. Now, they are joining us today, and they will be sharing their experience with all of you on the call today. All right. So yes, as mentioned, that at the end of the session, we will have a Q&A, right? So now I'm going to be passing over to Zim to introduce you to MACEE Fulbright Malaysia. Zim, over to you.
Well, thank you, Karen, and good afternoon to all. We're extremely happy to see participants coming from all over Malaysia. You have police all the way to Sabah, if I'm not mistaken. So thank you so much for taking the time off. I am very sure for the next 1 hour, you will find this session informative. If it's not, feel free to feedback to us. Um, Before we start on the actual Fulbright Malaysian Scholar Program, I'm going to run through about the Fulbright Program in general and also on MACEE. For those who may not be very well aware, the Fulbright Program started back in 1946. It is actually the flagship international academic exchange program sponsored by the US government. Annually, the program awards more than 8,000 merit grants, and over the years, the program has actually facilitated more than 400,000 exchanges across 165 participating countries, which also include Malaysia. As for MACEE, which is the long form is the Malaysian American Commission on Educational Exchange. MACEE is one of the 49 binational commission established back in 1963, and our core function is to administer the Fulbright program. Now, what we mean by binational is that the commission is actually co-owned and co-authorized by the US and Malaysian governments. And one of the things that we are proud of is that what we do here is not just to facilitate what we call educational diplomacy, but also to minimize administrative anxiety. You'll be hearing this term a lot coming from any MACEE staff. What I mean by that is that from even before you apply, we run info sessions, either it's the general or alumni-led info sessions. We will help and guide you through your application. Karen, and of course at the background we have Lena, who manages the American program. They're always there to help you to answer all your questions anytime, all the way to you leaving to the US or for those coming to Malaysia. So in Malaysia, we have Fulbright Malaysia, which is of course under MACEE, and there are 7 awards to the US, only for Malaysian citizens. These are mainly for scholars. They are for students and also for researchers, professionals, and so on. There are also 3 awards that bring Americans to Malaysia. To find out more about all the other programs, feel free to go to our website. Like I mentioned today, We are here to speak about the Fulbright Malaysian Scholar Program, which is currently open. And I couldn't be more grateful. And I would like to extend our heartfelt thank you to two of our alumni, Professor Dr. Siti Nurshina and also Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Sharul, who again kindly took time off their busy schedule to share their experiences in the US. So with that, thank you so much for being here. Um, Over to you, Karen.
Thank you so much, ZM. So now we are going to talk about the Fulbright Malaysian Scholar Program a little bit more in detail. And as ZM has mentioned, here we at Team MACEE, we really hope that info sessions like this will help you to give you more information, guide you, and as well to reduce your administrative anxiety. All right, so the Malaysian Scholar Program is open to scholars like you who are based in an institution, an academic institution, giving you the chance not just to teach or to conduct research, but also to be able to teach and conduct research at the same time. All right. So this program is a little bit unique in that sense. You can carry out your professional work in a US host institution that you have selected. So this particular program gives you the flexibility of choosing the US host institution that you want to be affiliated with. Okay, so up until now, what we call as the visiting scholars, their term is visiting scholars. There are roughly about more than 46,000 visiting scholars who has got the chance or were able to conduct research, even teach in any US host institution. And this has been in more than 150 countries that these visiting scholars have basically originated from. Okay, so in short, this program gives you the opportunity to not just, as I mentioned, conduct research or even teach. It also gives you the chance to be able to build your network, build your professional contacts as well, help you to then build on and make more collaborative research relationships with any US scholars that you want to be affiliated with. Okay, so this also adds value to the type of scholarly work that you will want to produce in the future. All right, in any research and any publication that you will eventually be working on. And it will give you the environment or give you the setting to work in a completely different environment, share your opinions, and have a networking session while you are in the US. Okay, so that's about the Malaysian Scholar Program. Now, to be eligible to join this program, so let's have a little bit details on that. So for any Fulbright program, applicants who are applying for this program needs to be a Malaysian citizen. All right. And at point of application, we require the applicant to be residing in Malaysia. So you have to be residing in Malaysia at least a minimum of 1 year prior to you applying for this program. Okay. Applicants as well, besides being a Malaysian citizen, they require to have a doctoral degree, all right, or otherwise have equivalent professional training or experience in your research field at time of application. Now, in addition to that, we also look at work experience that the scholar needs to have, and you need to have a minimum of 5 years of working experience in your field. All right. Now, yes, as I mentioned, that this program is open to faculty members, so scholars or applicants has to be a faculty member in a university or a higher learning institution in Malaysia. All right. Now, besides having all these, an applicant has to make sure that when they are applying for this program, they have to be eligible for leave. All right. Now, you can take a sabbatical leave. Now, if you don't have any sabbatical leave, then you have to ensure that you are eligible for any other type of leave that your home institution allows you to take. Okay, so this is something that I will cover a little bit more in detail under the managing of your application section. I will also cover a little bit more in terms of the letter of invitation from a US host institution. Also, what we would like to see in terms of you submitting a sabbatical leave letter from your home institution here, and a little bit details about your project proposal or a detailed statement. Okay, so these few details will be covered as I go along, but these are some of the documents or some of the eligibility that you need to take note of for the Malaysian Scholar Program. All right, so we've looked about the eligibility. Now we want to talk about the duration of the program, right? So some questions you're taking, how long can I spend in the US? All right. So for this particular program, there is a minimum of 3 months and a maximum of 6 months that the scholar is allowed to go for. So if you are going, say, for a duration of 4 months or even 5 months, you are allowed to, so long that it falls nothing less than 3 and nothing more than 6 months. Okay, and for any duration that you are planning or the number of months that you are planning for, your application that you are putting in for right now, you are going to be applying for the 2026-2027 academic cycle. So just take note that when you are planning your leave and your grant duration, the dates of your grant, okay, should fall from September 2026 up to May 2027. Okay, so just ensure that you take note of this crucial information when you are doing discussions with any potential US host institutions that you are reaching out to in order to secure a letter of invitation. So don't plan your grant to start anywhere earlier than September, and don't end your grant anywhere later than May 2027. This should give you a comfortable duration to plan your duration of your grant accordingly. Okay, and if you can get a letter of invite where they can state the dates as well, that would be so much more better. All right, now additionally, we participants who go on this program, they need to complete their Fulbright grant at that specified host institution. Okay, all right, and an active, or I would say a grant is activated upon having a valid J1 visa, and of course you having a valid passport, and of course valid entry into the United States. All right, now for anybody who are thinking that they cannot make it this year, can it be postponed, can the grant be postponed? No, unfortunately, grants that has been awarded for any particular reason, if you say that you cannot attend, we cannot postpone grants, all right, to any subsequent academic year. So in an event where if there is such a situation like this, unfortunately, an applicant will need to reapply for the following year's competition. Okay. All right. A bit too much of information, so hopefully this lightens up a bit. We look at the award benefits. Now, there are two types. There are allowances that is issued to a scholar on a one-time basis, and there is where is a monthly stipend which is given on a monthly basis, right? So when applicants go, or scholars that go on this program, they will receive a monthly stipend. And this monthly stipend is given to them once they have safely arrived in the US and have opened a bank account, a US bank account. Now, probably you might be thinking, how is roughly the monthly stipend calculated, or how do we gauge the amount of monthly stipend that is given? We will normally go, and the monthly stipend would be calculated based on number one, the duration that you're going for, and number two, the location of your host institution. Now, this will depend on the type of city, the type of state, and also the cost of living where your host institution is located. All right. Basically, the monthly stipend that is given for the scholars, it is a sufficient amount to cover the cost of living where you will be located. All right. Now, in addition to that, the monthly stipend, there is a financial support in terms of dependent allowance that is given for a scholar that will be bringing dependents along. But I must tell you that this financial support that is given to dependents, it is limited, but it's enough to cover. So it's not enough to cover the entire duration. So if you are bringing a dependent along, all right, you must be able to show a funding expense to cover for all your dependents that you're bringing along for the entire duration of your program. Now, any accompanying dependents that you are bringing along, all right, they must be with you at least 80% of the entire duration of your program, whether you can be going for a minimum of 3 months or a maximum of 6 months. Okay, so the dependent allowance is a minimal or a limited support allowance that is given to a scholar. And in addition, as you can see, there is health SP health coverage. SP is accident sickness plan for exchanges. This is a minimum health benefit plan that is given. It is not an insurance plan, all right, but it's just a minimum health coverage plan which will be given to the Fulbright Scholar recipient only. So if you are intending to bring dependents along, you have to ensure that every single dependent that comes along has to be covered by their own insurances, which you will have to purchase for them. All right. All right, so in addition, in terms of one-time payment, these allowances that I'm going to go in, as I'm going to elaborate, these allowances would be given to the scholar prior to them flying to the US. So one-time allowances will be given is in settling in allowance, which would be given to you in order for you to be used as allowance when you are settling in the US. Professional development allowance, any sort of, let's just say, any sort of activities or webinars that you would like to participate, seminars that you would like to participate to do any development professionally, you can use this allowance for those purposes. Baggage allowance as well as transit allowances. Okay, so these allowances will be banked into the scholars Malaysian account and will be issued prior to them flying to the US. Okay. Okay, so now we reached the part about the application part of it. So if you haven't started your application, or if you are wondering, or if you are midway in the process of completing or in the process of getting your application done, okay, I hope that these few slides will give you a little bit of insights about it. So if you haven't started your application, please visit our MACEE website and go to the Fulbright Malaysian Scholar Program announcement page. All right. In order to apply for the program, there's an apply here button. Now, when you click on that button, it will basically direct you to this screen for you to actually start your new application, and it will direct you to complete a registration form first. All right. Now, upon completion of a registration form, all right, this is basically part of the registration form that you will need to complete, where they will require you to fill up your information and so on. Upon completion of the registration form, you will receive login details. Okay, just ensure that when you have completed the registration form and you're going to check your email, kindly check your junk folders or even your spam folders, because sometimes the registration email can end up over there as well. If you're looking out for the registration email, you can look out for with an email with the subject that says no reply at MACEE Cloud. Okay, so that would be the registration email that you will receive. Use the login details that is provided to you in that registration email And basically, once you register, actually, this is the message that you will receive to say that your registration is successful. And once you receive that email, use the link that is given there and the login details, and you will be able to be directed to the page where you can start with continuing your existing application. Okay. Okay, so once you have actually already logged in, you have registered, you have clicked on to continue your application. This is the first one of the first few screens that you will see. The first page you will actually see would be a welcome page, and then followed by the preliminary questions section. All right. Now there would be some questions that you have to answer. Just make sure that each and every question, these are questions that you will need to answer, which are compulsory. So make sure that each and every question is answered before you move on to the following section. All right. Now, even if you're able to move on to the following section and you happen to miss out on any questions, unfortunately, you will not be able to submit your application because you may have to go back and retrieve which is the section that is considered incomplete. So it's best to go through your section one by one before you move on to ensure that you have completed everything. Okay, so these are the sections that you will need to complete before you submit your application. Now, I will go through one by one, just to let you know. In terms of what will be the thing on personal information, this is very clear. We will just be basically providing your personal details, name and date of birth and so on, right? In terms of contact information, we would require you to provide us with your contact details, email address, mailing address, and so on, okay? Under the academic and professional information, now this is where you would be asked to provide information on your academic background, work, employment history. Now, in the past, if let's just say, if you have been a recipient of any scholarships in the past, any fellowships that you have received as well, this is where you provide that information as well. Additionally, if you have received any prize, any awards, if you have published any materials, or additionally, if you have been fortunate enough to have any fellowship experience abroad, please do indicate it under the academic and professional information as well. All right. Now, under the language skill, this is basically just asking you about your language proficiency. So there's something that you will need to complete in terms of your English proficiency and providing information on your native language. Now, the most important next section, which will be the project proposal area. Now, this is where you would be identifying the category of your grant that you're applying for, whether it would be research, whether it be teaching or research, or just teaching. Okay, so this is something that you will have to specify. Under the project proposal as well, you will be giving information about your project title. You're going to give us a brief summary about your project statement, your academic discipline, your specialization, as well as details about your grant and details about your preferred host institution as well. All right. So just take note that this information is complete and you are providing us with very concise information under the project proposal section. Okay. Moving along, the grant and travel plans. This is where we will be asking you if you are entitled to receive a sabbatical leave, and the sabbatical leave that you are receiving, whether it's going to be paid or not. Now, if you select that your sabbatical leave is going to be paid, there will be another drop-down box that will appear, which you will need to specify roughly in amount how much you would be receiving in terms of you for your sabbatical for the duration of the program, all right? This is where also you will specify if you're bringing dependents along, you will need to provide dependent details as well, all right? And the last few sections in terms of additional information, this is where you will just need to complete a short outreach survey. So nothing very complicated under the additional information section. Okay, last few important sections, recommendations. This is very crucial as well. Now, most of the time, based on experiences, we always see that scholars, even applicants for the other Fulbright grants as well, whenever they are completing the online application, this is one area we always see that they always get stuck, or they always end up having issues. Now, whenever you are reaching out or you intend to propose to put forward a name of a recommender, now, before you do that, now always remember that these names of these recommenders that you are going to put forward, they are people who is available, number one, all right, who is available, who is able to fill up the online application recommendation form for you in a timely manner, okay, and they are reachable in terms of you when you want to follow up with them whether they have submitted their recommendation or not. Okay, so reach out to recommenders who is able to not just be available, but who is able to speak on your character as well as your potential. Okay, they can provide valuable insights on your work. Okay, so fill in the details of your recommenders and the email addresses. The online application system will then send them an email or a prompt message to complete the online recommendation form. All right. Now, I want to really stress here that they have to complete the online recommendation form. They cannot submit any letter through you or something, and they have to complete it before the application deadline. All right. Otherwise, they will not be able to access the online recommendation form. Okay. All right. And last but not least, the document section. This is very clear. You can upload all your supporting documents, whether it's a PDF format or whether it's JPEG format. You can upload your academic certs, any support letters that you have that you feel that can hold good weight to support your application. All these documents, please use this section to upload all these documents. Okay, all right. All right, so in detail, I'm going to be now covering what are the type of, besides application, what are the type of documents that we look at, all right? So what do we require? So if you have a valid passport, or even if, let's say, your passport has recently expired, no problem, you still can submit a copy of a passport. What we require would be a passport biodata page, all right, where they show the picture and your biodata. In addition, we also want you to submit, as I mentioned, a detailed project proposal. All right. So your project proposal should be a very comprehensive project proposal. All right. It should outline, okay, what should it contain, or what should it consist of. You should basically be focusing on outlining the objectives of your project, what type of methodology that you're going to be using. Now, all this methodology that you're mentioning, is there a timeline for it? Put in those timelines as well. Now, what would be the expected goals or the outcomes of all the methods and research of what you are going to be conducting in the US? Please ensure that your project proposal, it is structured, well structured according to these lines. All right. Your project proposal is going to be a very crucial supporting document to your application, because people who are going to be reviewing, or the reviewers is going to be reviewing your application, is going to be looking at this particular project, and they're going to be looking as why this scholar deserves the Fulbright grant, okay, based on your project that you're going to be putting forward. All right. Now, ultimately, when you're putting your project proposal forward, do not exceed at most 3,500 words. All right. Okay. Now, in terms of letter of references, as I mentioned just now, when they're putting in the online reference, approach 3 people. Okay. It can be people that you know, and one of them must be your current employer. Okay, all right. Now ensure that your recommendations comes in on time, and you should follow up with your recommenders constantly to ensure that they submit before even you can complete your application. Okay. Um, Additionally, besides letters or online recommendation form, copies, what we would search for is your academic qualification, all your academic transcripts and your certificates. All right. Every time, as much as we stress this forward, we still find that applicants submit incomplete documents. When I mean incomplete is that whenever they submit a degree certificate, a master's certificate, and when it's supposed to come together with an academic transcript, unfortunately, they only submit the degree cert, or unfortunately, they only submit the academic transcript. So please ensure that when you are compiling your documentation and completing your application, every single qualification, so long it has the academic transcript, you are submitting everything together as a set. I understand that you have done your master's or you have done your PhD. Some qualifications do not come with the academic transcript. That is understandable. But if you do have an academic transcript, please complement it together with the cert. All right? Okay. Um, Yes, so in addition to that, we also want you to submit your CV, your resume, which is in a format of a PDF, nothing exceeding 4 pages. All right. Um, and a letter of invitation from a US host institution. Now, at point of application, this letter is not mandatory. Means as you're applying right now, if you don't have a letter of invitation, don't worry. You still can submit your application. It's not mandatory, okay? But if you have a letter, ensure that this invitation letter, it is issued on the specific US university's letterhead. Okay, all right. And the letter of invitation, if you can, please specify in a bit of information in terms of if you have some exact dates about when do you intend to have your grant duration, the objective of your research, and also if you have any access to any facilities while you are going to be during the grant in the US. For example, if you're going to get access to library facilities, office space, or even access to labs, all right, that you are entitled to get as a visiting scholar, please get your US host institution to specify and spell this out in the letter of invitation as well. All right, okay. Hope that part is clear. Now, lastly, about the sabbatical leave letter. So it must be on your university's letterhead and informing us that you are eligible for a sabbatical leave. Now, sometimes I do get questions. They're asking me, Ms. Carrot, is a sabbatical leave letter and a support letter the same thing? Well, it depends on your home institution, the way they issue the letter. Sometimes some home institution, they issue one letter that serves two purposes. One is to say that they support your application for this particular program and that you are entitled for the sabbatical leave. So you don't have to get two separate letters if your institution actually can issue one letter that serves two purposes. All right, okay. So this is something that you can reach out to your home institution to see how their format is, because we don't have a specified format or a certain format. It is flexible how your institution would like to issue this letter. All right. All right, lastly, before a few last slides before we move on to the sharing session. So what are the documents again that you need to upload? Number one would be your project proposal, of course, your resume, your support letters that you get from your home institution. If you have a letter of invitation from the US host institution, please upload that as well. Now, in terms of your project proposal, what additionally we want to see is that if you have any course syllabus that you're making reference to, please upload that, and your bibliography that you'll be using for research or lecturing purposes as well. Bibliography will not have to be part of your project proposal. It can be a separate document on its own that you can upload as well. So it doesn't have to be part of your 3,500 words that you're going to put forward, okay? Any additional document you think that will add support or that will increase weight in your application. Now, if you have gone for any US exchange program before, you have been issued with a DS 2019 document. If you have joined any State Department sponsored program and you have those previous GS 2019, please upload that as well. And of course, we would like to see your picture. So upload a profile picture in a JPEG format. Okay? Okay, so we all know all this information. So what next? All right. So what next comes is first, if you haven't started your application, please start and submit your application by the deadline, which would be September 20th. All right. Now, once the deadline closes, MACEE will actually be then reviewing those applications. Now, shortlisted applicants would be called for interview, and the interview would happen sometime around either November or December 2025. All right. Now, upon interview, shortlisted or successful nominations would need to go through a review by the US State Department. And once those reviews happen, we would then notify the selected candidates that is put forward. And this announcement should come around sometime March or April 2026. All right. So scholars who are selected to go on the program will then begin their grant to plan their grant duration that should fall nothing before September 2026, and it shouldn't end anything later than May 2027. Okay. All right. So just to share with you some exciting news, just like info sessions like this, we do have a very good info sessions, valuable info sessions that are coming up soon, very informative ones. For the Malaysian Scholar Program, we'll be having two alumni-led info sessions. One is on the 4th of September and the next one will be on the 10th of September. For more details, please visit, in order to register, please visit our MACEE website and go to the Fulbright Malaysian Scholar page. The details for this info session has already been listed there. It's already been there for quite some time. So if you haven't registered, please register for these two info sessions. Our alumni will be really sharing their experience and will be really talking about how the research and collaboration is, and they'll be talking about life as a Fulbright Malaysian Scholar. Okay? Now, in addition to our Malaysian Scholar Program, we have our US ASEAN Scholar Program, which is open as well. All right, it opened on August 11th. And we also have two upcoming info session. One is a MACEE-led info session and an alumni-led. So these are also in September as well, and they're also upcoming. So if you know, or if you are interested, or if you know anybody who's interested to apply for this program, please encourage them to visit the US ASEAN program announcement page and to register for our info sessions. All right. Okay. And yes, so now it's time for us to meet our two esteemed alumni who are joining us on the call today. Prof. Dr. Siti Norshina and Associate Prof. Dr. Muhammad Shahrul. Thank you so much for joining us. Please come on screen. Yeah.
Hi, Karen. It's nice to be here, and I look forward to addressing some of the questions from the audience.
Sure. Thank you so much. And okay, so before we open up the floor, maybe just a warm up set of questions, and then we can definitely encourage questions from all participants joining us today. I do have one warm up question for the both of you. Now, we have Prof. Shahrul, who has gone and come back, and we have you, Prof, who have just returned from the program, correct? And we have applicants who are now starting their application. They are at one point of time where you were at the start, and there's somewhere who's probably thinking, okay, how am I going to start the application and so on. So my question to you, to the both of you, is that when you were at this stage preparing for your application, how did you balance submitting an application? How do you balance your professional as well as your personal commitments and make sure that you submitted your application on time?
I think I'll start first.
Yeah.
Okay, so to be honest, I didn't manage to submit the first time I applied because I was not able to reach out to the right host. So it was only through my second attempt that I was able to get a host to take me, and how did I overcome that was primarily because I reached out to other Fulbright alumni, and utilizing the alumni network helped me to reach out um, to potential hosts. Now, I think this is a common problem among many of us because, like myself, my network at the beginning was very limited to many European countries and Asian countries only. And that was my drive or my motivation to apply for Fulbright, the Fulbright Scholar Program, because I felt that, I have not been, my network is still limited. And it was through this network that I was able to get a host. And the first time actually was quite a challenge, as you say, balancing the commitments at work and putting your time for putting a properly and a structured proposal to be submitted. So, you just have to, if your motivation is strong, you will crave or carve that time for that purpose.
Right, well said, well said. Prof. Shahrul, what about you? I mean, you brought your dependents along as well, right? So you had a family to manage when personal commitments, professional commitments as well. I think you had those thoughts in mind. So how did you manage when you were submitting your application?
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Hina. Thank you, Karen. Basically, my story started from I was selected to receive a conference travel grant to USA in 2023. And during that time, after I finished my talk, and then I went back to my hotel, and suddenly I received an email from my wife. My wife also, she's also teaching at UITM, Shah Alam. And she said that, oh, since you are in the US, why not you apply this Fulbright Scholar? Since you are there, probably you can get connection. And then, yeah, that night I attended a dinner, and then I met these wonderful professors from University of Utah. And then I approached her, and then I started to, get a connection because I don't have any connection before from USA. So, and then the funniest thing that after I came back, I thought she forgot me, and then and then I sent an email again. I said, "Oh, can you be my host? Because I am applying this exchange scholar." And then yeah, and she helped me a lot. And then I tried to reconnect again with her via online meeting, discussion about the proposal. And during that time, I'm still teaching at UKM, and then my families. And then you're right, Karen. I have 4 kids, and then I started to discuss with my wife whether can we bring along our kids, because to bring 4 kids probably is not easy. And of course, because even though as Karen mentioned before, you guys can get stipended uh, amount of money to support a bit, but in fact it is still I need to calculate and then and then bring a list with my wife. And then other than that, before applying again, I start. This is the most important probably you guys can do. I contacted all my friends that managed to get the scholar and also did not get the scholar. So I get views from them. Why he didn't get? Why you got the you managed the succeeded the interview. And then in touch with I think Prof Rogaya. I think she got the scholar back in 2000, like 2008 or 2007. And then I met her, and then I start to get input from her, and then yeah, at the end I tried my best to manage my time and then get the best time to connect with the host in USA, and
Right.
then try to approach all the successful recipient, even though some of them are not successful, but it's good to in touch with them, to maybe to motivate them again and to
Right.
get their experience during interview, and then at the end you get the ideas how to how to establish your words during your interview.
Got it. Okay. Well, as you were explaining, we have got a couple of questions from the chat, and I will just take it. I think some questions I can pose to any one of you. Okay, but first question we have, if there's any age limit to this application. So there is no age limit to the application, but of course we would look in terms of like a scholar that is applying for the program, and that you still have quite a number of years to serve and to return back upon completion of your program. All right. So in terms of like when you are returned back from the program, when you are able to give back, not to just any even any within your scope of your network, or even to your home institution, in any of your collaborations upon your return, and any initiatives that you want to take, you still do have a good number of years for you to be able to continue your collaborative work. All right. Um, okay, is there any social media group to reach out to our Fulbright Scholar alumni? Um, that's a very good question. What we can do, Miss Shazwani, is that you can drop us an email. All right, we do have a good, huge network of our Fulbright Scholar alumni. You can send us an email at our Fulbright Malaysia at macee.org.my, and we can connect you. You can give us more information about your field of study, and we can connect you with our alumni, and then you can actually reach out to them to actually, if you would like to ask any more information pertaining to your field and what you should actually be putting forward. Okay. Okay, I think this question I'm going to be posing to the both of you. All right. So we have a question in the chat that says, for proposal writer, all right, should we include the research plan only that we plan to take for the 3 to 6 months, or should we include a full project?
Okay, let me start first. Regarding the research project, the first thing that you need to do is connect with your host, get them to agree to your plan first. What is it that you want to do? And from there onwards, you can curate what is it that you'll be able to do, and what are the limitations there. Because if you're planning to go and, for example, on a teaching program, and they are able to cater to your needs, then it'll be quite a disappointing thing if you go there and then you're not able to teach. So my first advice is engage with your host, find out what is it that you're able to do. Is it lab, or is it teaching, or is it a bit of both, right? So at least then you'll be able to curate a very good program for your proposal. Now, is it a full project or not? Again, get an agreement, because sometimes you've got all these plans, but they are not able to do it there. Therefore, again, research, maybe give them some ideas about what you like to do. And if they are open to that, then you can write a proposal based on that. That is where that's what I did for myself.
Okay, what about you, Prof? How did you submit the full project proposal, or was it something like how Prof Sheena, did you approach Utah and then told them your plans and then you worked on it after that?
Yes. I think what can I advice is like during my time, I still remember I tried to get a research that I can conduct in 6 months. So I didn't go like beyond my scope. Then what I did was I also tried to get the host that really suit to our project and the facilities. You can email them and you can read their papers. So what I did was which I cannot have in Malaysia. So I try to do during this sabbatical. For example, like my project was in because I developed me and my team already and my student already developed a small census for air quality monitoring. But at UKM, we don't have good facilities to do the calibration and so on. So my scope of my proposal, I just focus on the technique of the how to do the calibration and how I can bring back to Malaysia so that I can, like engage with SIRIM or any agencies that focus on census technology. So I try to make my framework to be exactly I can do within the 6 months. And then again, you need to if you don't have like a host yet, maybe you can identify the best person that suit so that you can use really your time when you're there. Because I also have a few colleagues that um, from other country that receive the scholarship, but they have problem with the host facilities and so on, and then it drag their project. So
Right.
I think that is the most important is you need to I didn't teach during that time. I
Mm,
just focus on the research. So try to make sure that your research can be done and
right.
can be used the facilities there. Then you
Okay.
can bring back to Malaysia. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to take on another couple more questions, but hold on to that thought first. We have one who is asking as he's a senior lecturer, all right? He's looking for something that research that is for 6 months. So his question is that whether, and this is open to the both of you, should he then contact or what would his first approach be? Should he approach institute director or he should just contact an individual directly? I assume this is to make connections with somebody in the US to identify a host, if I'm not mistaken, because the question doesn't specify, it's just like a general information. So if you could just briefly tell us, because we do want to take on other questions as well, and we do not want to keep that too long, how would be the best advice that you can, give to our applicants on call? Like just a brief one on how to make connections with anybody or any host institution in the US.
Okay, for myself, I would be the person I reached out was somebody who is not on the top management because they tend to be very, very busy,
Okay.
and they are not able to, entertain guests or visiting scholars. Go down to people who are in the labs or doing the work themselves. I think that is my advice.
Okay. Um, anything you want to add, Prof?
Yeah, I agree with Prof. Shina. I think some professors are very, very busy. Maybe you can look at their group from their website and you can have contact because most of them in USA, the postdoc are very, very friendly. And you can approach them so that they can, share with their with their professors.
Okay. Okay. So just a quick question. When you were guys, sorry, when the both of you were actually coming up with your proposal, was there any preliminary data that was required for you to submit in your proposal?
No, not for me. None.
No, not for me either.
So would you say that it depends on the field of study, or is it just a general understanding that no preliminary data is required?
I think it's just a understanding that no preliminary data is needed,
Mm.
because you are working towards it, or if you have some background and you want to share that with your host, then perhaps that can be put in the proposal, but it is not necessary.
Right. Okay. Okay, so I think this question I can take on. It is from Shaharul, who is asking a little bit about the interview stage and what kind of questions. Unfortunately, we can't really give you what kind of questions that is going to be asked in terms of the interview stage, but we will definitely be giving you more information in terms of like if you're selected for the program and what will be required of you. So I hope that answers your question, right? Okay, so can the proposal, this is for the two of you, Prof. Can the proposal be a mix of research and teaching, or do you think it can be either one?
It can be a mix of both or one or another. So it's not very rigid in that sense. At least for what I needed to do, it was not rigid at all.
Okay, so I think before, I have just probably one final question, one or two final questions. There's one from Wan Zahir Bahari. Can Fulbright assist on getting a list of host or learning institutions? Okay, Fulbright does for this particular program. It is for you to build your network or for you to build your relationships with a potential host that you have or that you intend to reach out to in the US. So we do not have specific course or learning institution. So it will depend on your field of study. And I think based on the info that our esteemed alumni have shared today, you can start off by reaching out through your contacts. You can reach out to those people in your field to see if they can connect you or point you to any host institution that is willing or to be able to host you or that is interested in your proposal that you intend to put forward, right? So we don't have any specific or list that Fulbright will be able to provide you with, okay? Okay, I think I just have a last few questions in terms of like any advice that we can give for our potential applicants on the call today. What do you think makes a strong Fulbright application from your point of view?
Prof.
Like a really good strong one.
Okay. Well, a strong proposal is definitely how you write it. It needs to be clear. It needs to be concise. It has to be able. But remember, you're there. Yes, primarily to learn and to get as much knowledge as possible, but you're also an ambassador there. So you need to have that attitude that you want to meet people, you want to contribute back, learn from other cultures. You have to be open. So my strongest tip is go in with an open mind, and there will be things that will be difficult or challenging. But if you go with an open mind, I think that's going to be a lot. You will be able to navigate all the different difficulties when you're there. It is going to be, I would say, because I was there alone, getting to know and making new friends was going to be something that you have to, be open to. You have to meet people. So you have to be that kind. You need to have the attitude. So you need to be unique in terms of your how you share things about Malaysia. You're ambassador to them, because many of them surprisingly do not know much about Malaysia.
Yeah, honestly, I think that is the very right mindset to have, that when you are starting your application and when successful, being able to go to the US, because you are not just putting in an application to actually go and conduct your research. It's an exchange program where you are going to be a cultural ambassador of Malaysia. And part of the program requires you to also put forward and represent Malaysia in that arena and setting that you're going to be in. Okay, just a last question, I think, before we wrap up the session for the day. What would be, and this would be open to both of you, Prof, what would be a one piece advice that you can give to each and every one on the call today, whether they are in the midst of doing their application, if they are hesitant, if they haven't started, what would be that advice that you could give them?
Prof,
Please, you go ahead.
I think my 30 cent advice. For me, there's no failure, only success delay. So whenever you didn't success, just keep applying. I got an opportunity to mentor two of applicants, and I also surprised that they managed to got it. So feel
Wow.
free to feel free to reach me out to maybe we can have like you know like practice for the interview or something. You can reach me out. I'm willing to help you guys. But as I said, keep applying. Don't be afraid. My experience with my family at the USA taught us a lot of things. And at the end, for the sake of our country, we should contribute by getting experience from the USA. I think that's just my advice.
That's it, Prof. Sheena.
Okay, so I echo Dr. Sharul's saying that that there's only it's only a delayed failure if you try the first time and you don't get it. I also agree that US is so far away, and many of us don't have that opportunity to go that far. It's across the Pacific. So take this opportunity. It's really a life experience, life-changing experience, and it's been able to give me a new outlook on on the professional development as well as my personal development.
Indeed, and I say that I'm very touched that first time I hear about Prof. Sharul saying that nothing is a delayed no failure is a delayed success or something, if I got that correctly. So I would like to also add that if you haven't started, for those on the call today, we really hope that this info session basically has given you the insights, have answered most of your questions. And if you have any other additional questions, you would like to reach out to any alumni, please feel free to drop us an email, fulbrightmalaysia@macee.org.my. That info has been shared in the chat box as well. You would find that information on our MACEE website. So if you like more information, please visit our MACEE website. Register for our upcoming alumni-led info sessions, our general-led info session as well for our US ASEAN Scholar Program, which is open for application. Yes, and so if you haven't started your application, please do so, because you will never know the shots that you miss until you actually apply for the program. This is what somebody told me, and it is so true. Right, so with that, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Prof. Dr. Sheena and Prof. Dr. Muhammad Shahrul once again. Thank you so much for always bringing the continuous support and awesome alumni that we have and that we need. And thank you for taking the time to join us, as well as all giving us very professional insights to your experience in the US. All right, so till then, thank you all for joining us, and we really hope that this session has been useful. Take care and have a wonderful rest of the evening.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.